We're partnering with NoCD to raise awareness about OCD. OCD is more than what you see on TV and in the movies. Imagine having unwanted thoughts about your relationship stuck in your head all day, no matter how hard you try to make them go away. That's relationship OCD. It comes with unrelenting, intrusive images, thoughts, and urges about your partner or loved one. Breaking the OCD cycle takes effective treatment. Go to nocd.com to get evidence-based treatment. People of all walks of life experience OCD. It doesn't matter how much time they have or don't have on their hands. And so when it comes to this myth about you need to stay busy to not have problems, it sounds like that's just creating more problems, in my opinion. Like, why would you need to keep busy to feel better, right? Like, that almost seems counterintuitive. Hi, I'm Erin, licensed clinical mental health counselor and OCD specialist. I'm also a wife, mom to 3, and small business owner, helping those who are spiraling from intrusive thoughts to come out of that valley with long-term recovery and self-awareness. Reheat your coffee and pop in your AirPods to learn how to boss up to OCD. Welcome to another episode of Bossing Up Overcoming OCD. In today's discussion, I'm so excited to be able to have a knockdown, drag out conversation about myths around OCD. I can't wait to bring you these ideas, and I would love for you to write in and tell me your thoughts too. So with OCD, as you've heard, it can be one of the most debilitating mental health disorders out there. And a lot of people don't even understand what OCD is or how to get treatment or how to get the right kind of treatment. So I've got plenty of episodes covering all of those topics. And for your awareness, according to the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, 1 in 200 kids in the United States has OCD. And then also there's 1 in 100 adults have OCD. So that may not sound like a lot, but that means that there are 2 to 3 million adults in the United States that has OCD and around 500,000 youth. So 500,000 youth in the United States are affected by OCD. Wow. So there are all types of misconceptions, and I can't wait to break it down and give you the highs and the lows of these myths. First of all, in thinking about kids and adolescents, a parent will oftentimes say to their kid, "Oh, you'll outgrow it." Yeah. Well, in the case of OCD, no, they won't outgrow it. If anything, they will grow into it. I mean, they're not meaning to, obviously, but if you don't get the right kind of treatment, OCD can get worse and it can really snowball into something much bigger than when it first started. The good news is, in treating kids and adolescents, at least in my experience, they get better really quickly. On average, people are in therapy for 12 to 15 appointments. Now, it may be longer depending upon how complicated or how long, all the factors, or if there are other things going on besides OCD, you're looking at around maybe 25-ish appointments, just depending upon your circumstances. But on average, 12 to 15. And most kids, they are rocking and rolling after 6 or 7 appointments. They are doing so well because they are so resilient, so open-minded, and it's so beautiful to see them doing well. So whether that's your kid or you were told that as a kid, like let's say you have that hand washing contamination OCD and your parents say to you, "Oh, you'll outgrow it." And 20 years later, you're still dealing with bleeding and cracked hands from the overwashing, or leading into this next myth, you've shifted into another OCD theme, because that's the other myth that comes along with OCD. People think that their OCD is going to be the same for their entire life. And so they think, "Oh, I can deal with being overly clean. That's no big deal to me. I enjoy being clean." And that may sound all great, grand, and wonderful, but what are you going to do when the harm OCD thoughts come? What are you going to do when you have the sexual intrusive thoughts? Now, I'm not saying everyone experiences those intrusive thoughts, but more often than not, your OCD is going to be a shapeshifter and it will change over time. And unless you get the treatment to understand what's going on and how to be proactive against it or how to deal with the uncertainty or deal with the intrusive thoughts, things can get a lot more stressful. Another myth is that people believe that OCD is all about being clean and organized, tidy, having things lined up a certain way on their desk, etc. And honestly, that's not the case at all. It could be a piece of it, or it could be a theme that you're going through at one time. Many people with and without OCD have concerns about contamination to some extent. And people with OCD, they can also be messy. It's not that they're overly organized. Like I'm thinking about a client I had in the past. I'm not saying they were disorganized, but they had a compulsion to hang on to water bottles. And for whatever reason, having more water bottles helped them feel safer, and it also helped them feel like they were avoiding that bad thing from happening. Because, your brain can cook up anything it wants to. So with those obsessions, it was driving this compulsion that they needed to keep the water bottles, whether they were 3/4 of the way full, quarter way full, but this person's room ended up becoming very cluttered from all the water bottles. So OCD is not all about being clean and organized. Here's another myth, and this one's probably one of my favorites because I hear it more often than I'd like to. And again, y'all, you've probably heard this too. So you've heard this myth of, oh, if you keep yourself busy, you won't have anything to worry about, or you won't have time to worry about those things. And so what they're implying is that you have too much time on your hands to worry about stuff, and that you need more activities and more hobbies in your life to help you with your OCD. No, my friends, having more things on your to-do list is likely just going to stress you out even more, especially if you're not getting treatment for the OCD. And in research studies, it is showing that OCD is across cultures, across the world. It's across different ethnicities, social classes, all the things. But people of all walks of life experience OCD. It doesn't matter how much time they have or don't have on their hands. And so when it comes to this myth about you need to stay busy to not have problems, it sounds like that's just creating more problems, in my opinion. Like, why would you need to keep busy to feel better, right? Like, that almost seems counterintuitive. You can talk about with your therapist in counseling and with your OCD specialist is about how can I live a better quality of life? And so having a better quality of life, does anyone want to sign up for a life where you're running yourself ragged, you're running yourself so busy that you're not enjoying things? We're partnering with NoCD to raise awareness about OCD. OCD is more than what you see on TV and in the movies. Imagine having unwanted thoughts about your relationship stuck in your head all day, no matter how hard you try to make them go away. That's relationship OCD. It comes with unrelenting, intrusive images, thoughts, and urges about your partner or loved one. If you think you may be struggling with relationship OCD, there's hope. NoCD offers effective, affordable, and convenient OCD therapy. NoCD therapists are trained in exposure response prevention therapy, the gold standard treatment for OCD. With NoCD, you can do virtual, live, face-to-face video sessions with one of their licensed specialty trained therapists. It's affordable and they accept most major insurance plans. Breaking the relationship OCD cycle takes effective treatment. To get started with NoCD, go to nocd.com/savage. Moving down the list of the myths about OCD. So they're saying that having OCD is not that bad, but my patients are saying that they are so desperate, so willing to feel better, and they are honestly super tired of living the way they're living. In September, we're going to have Suicide Awareness Month. So I'm going to be prepping and airing some episodes around that topic because suicide is a very serious subject, but also suicide OCD can show up as a theme. And a lot of times, OCD sufferers do consider suicide because they are so tired of their thoughts. And so having OCD can feel exhausting. Another myth is people tend to think that when someone has OCD, it should be obvious. Like it's very clear to the people around them that they have OCD. When actually it could be a very silent struggle that the person is going through. The obsessions, right? Those are the thoughts that are coming in, stressing you out. No one can read your mind. And so no one knows how relentless the thoughts can be. And then on top of that, you may have mental compulsions where you are reassuring yourself of like, oh no, I wouldn't do that. Oh no, I'm not really that person. Or maybe you're doing a lot of the what if stuff, which can be very exhausting. So sometimes OCD, it may come as a surprise to your family members, but OCD can be a silent struggle. It's not always seen on the outside. Or maybe your loved ones might be like, well, yeah, I did notice that you would tap things repeatedly, and I always wondered what that was about, but I never thought that that was OCD. Another myth is that someone thinks that as long as you know your thoughts aren't true, then you should be fine. So basically, what they're thinking is that as long as you see your thoughts as irrational or illogical, then you don't have OCD and that you should just easily get over this. But that's not the case at all, right? I mean, if you've had OCD or you've been through the treatment on the other side, you know that your intrusive thoughts, you already recognize them as irrational and illogical, and they don't make sense. But they don't feel safe. You're not there yet in dealing with the uncertainty, or you're not there yet in dealing with the intrusive thoughts. And that's honestly a key factor. So, yeah, more often than not, people who are suffering from OCD, they already recognize that their fears and their thoughts don't make sense, but it doesn't feel that way. And in any case, it makes it hard to get help because it, in a way, it kind of feels embarrassing, right? So that's what's leading me into the final myth here. And it has to do with your therapy and with your therapy experience. So the myth is that the therapist won't understand what you're going through, and or you need to go to someone who has had OCD before. Okay, well, in deconstructing all that and debunking this, do you need to go to a doctor who has had cancer before? Nope, nope, I'm pretty sure you don't, because all you want to know is that this oncologist, this cancer doctor can get you cancer free. Or like maybe in the case of a lawyer, do you need to go to a lawyer who has had a driving ticket or some type of criminal offense for you to feel comfortable in using this lawyer? No, again, probably not. What you truly are looking for is someone who can get you results. So if you're in that camp of thinking that you need a therapist who understands what you've gone through and you won't settle for any other therapist, you're probably just making excuses. Just saying, because you know you need help. Why are you going to continue to put up blocks in getting the help you need? Just go see an OCD specialist and get help today. Because whether the therapist has had OCD or not, they can understand what you're going through. Now, that's the other piece. Like, you have to see someone who specializes in OCD and understands OCD, okay? Because what is really sad is when someone is experiencing intrusive thoughts that are harmful or shameful, embarrassing, and then the therapist doesn't fully understand that these are intrusive thoughts and will put you in the hospital or call child protective services or, really express some fear that you're going to hurt somebody. Like when you're going to an OCD specialist, it's not that, all caution goes out the window. Well, we do have our assessment process and we do our due diligence and research and gathering like a risk assessment about you so that we can better understand who you are and your level of risk to yourself and to others. I mean, in general, that's what we do anyway, because we want you to be safe and we want the people around you to be safe. And so what can be challenging is that with the intrusive thoughts, they are not your thoughts and they go against your values. And that's where that stress level really comes up for you, because these thoughts feel so disturbing, disgusting, and atrocious that sometimes you can't even stand yourself. You don't even know why you think these things. And so it's upsetting. And so that's a key difference with it being an OCD thought versus like some other sort of problem that would create a different set of reactions. So what I'm saying here is an OCD specialist will understand and will give you the space to process these things. And of course, we always have confidentiality, meaning it's like a secret, unless we're concerned that you are of serious threat to yourself or others, right? Having an intrusive thought does not necessarily make you a threat to yourself or others. We're partnering with NoCD to raise awareness about OCD. OCD is more than what you see on TV and in the movies. Imagine having unwanted thoughts about your relationship stuck in your head all day, no matter how hard you try to make them go away. That's relationship OCD. It comes with unrelenting, intrusive images, thoughts, and urges about your partner or loved one. Breaking the OCD cycle takes effective treatment. Go to nocd.com to get evidence-based treatment. All right, so next week I'm going to have another special guest come on the show, and she's going to be talking about a billing service to help you access your out-of-network benefits. So if you're looking for an OCD specialist, I don't want you to feel held back with the idea if the therapist is in-network or out-of-network. There are options. NoCD has a lot of trained therapists, and even if they're out of network, next week's episode and hearing about this billing service can make a huge difference in opening your options and helping you better understand your insurance benefits and make it so much less complicated. So come back next week to hear more about that billing service so that you can get the mental health care that you need. Thank you for listening to another episode of Bossing Up, Overcoming OCD. This information is intended to be helpful and not a substitute for professional counseling. If you're struggling with any mental health challenges, I encourage you to seek help from a qualified therapist or healthcare professional. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to rate and review the show. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners, and don't forget to check out the affiliate links in the show notes for hand-picked recommendations that can brighten your day. Your support through these links helps keep the show running and provide valuable content. You're not alone in your journey. Stay strong, stay resilient, and keep bossing up. See you next time.